I stood on the front porch of my East Detroit home, the wood creaking under my feet like it wept for my pain. Sloane's voice cut through the humid air, sharp as a blade. "This house, Marian, it's just shabby. How do you even stand it?" Her manicured nails flashed as she waved at my home, the one I'd poured my soul into for decades. Mrs. Whitaker across the street fussed with her roses, already soaked, pretending not to hear. My cheeks burned hot, but I held my tongue. 40 years sacrificed, missed vacations, factory nights, every penny for Caleb's future. And now, this. Caleb stayed silent, hauling suitcases to Beatrix's limousine. His shoulders slumped like he carried more than bags. "Son," I whispered, my voice cracking, "are you sure?" He mumbled, opportunities. Beatrix's promises. Opportunities. As if I hadn't given him those my whole life. The limo purred, sleek and cold, waiting like a predator. Beatrix honked, loud, impatient. "Darlings, let's move," she called, her voice dripping fake charm. I glimpsed her silhouette, flashing that tacky watch, her so-called millionaire heirloom. Heirloom? What a joke. They climbed in, Sloane tossing me a look like I was some pitiful relic. The door slammed, tires crunched gravel. I stood frozen as rain fell. Soft at first, then heavy, soaking my blouse. Betrayed. That word burned in my chest. Betrayed after all I'd done. Sacrificed my youth, my dreams. For what? To be left on this porch. Neighbors' whispers cutting like the rain. I didn't cry. Not yet. 3 months dragged by. No calls, no texts, not a scrap from their shiny new life. The house echoed, mocking my loneliness. One morning, I noticed damp creeping up the living room walls, like dark fingers clawing my peace. The kitchen faucet, plink, 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 a drip that haunted my nights. "Well," I muttered to the empty air, "if they're gone, it's on me." I grabbed a faded notebook, old recipes on the cover, and scrawled "Home Revival Plan" in bold strokes. Fix the faucet, seal the walls, repaint, something to hold, to fight the hurt. I drove to the hardware store, aisles packed with tools I barely knew, loaded my cart with cream paint, brushes, sealant, basics to push back. That's when Miles Carter appeared, maybe 28 in a dusty apron, eyes kind, hands rough. "Need help?" he asked, nodding at my cart. These walls, they're damp. How do I—" He cut in, calm and clear. "Mix sealant thin, layer it slow, dry overnight. No upsell, just help. Doing this solo? That's gutsy," he said with a grin. Gutsy. Me at 58? Starting over? Maybe he was right. Driving home, rain clouds looming, I saw her, a gray cat, shivering under a bush, green eyes steady. She meowed, soft, trusting. "Come here, little one," I whispered, kneeling to scoop her up. She pressed against my coat. No fight. At home, I dried her with a towel, fed her chicken scraps. Celine, moon goddess for her glowing eyes. She padded through the house, claiming it, and I felt lighter. That night, I tackled the faucet. Wrench in hand, sleeves rolled, I followed Miles's advice. Twist, tighten, test. The drip stopped. I did it. Small, but it sparked something. Independence rising through the anger. Celine watched, purring steady from the counter. "We're a team now," I said, stroking her fur. But Sloane's words, shabby, still cut. My home, my life. Days settled into a rhythm I could grip. Mornings I checked my notebook, crossing off tasks. Painted a wall patch, cream, warm like fresh bread, hiding the damp. Celine approved from the windowsill, tail flicking. "Like it?" I asked. She blinked, regal as ever. Afternoons I walked the block, dodging Mr. Delgado's calls from his fence. "Marian, you good?" "Fine," I snapped, keeping pity at bay. Evenings were quiet, but Celine's purr softened them. One weekend I pushed further. hung olive green curtains to match the wild garden, yanked weeds out back, dirt under my nails, back aching but alive. Caleb's voice flashed, planting roses as a kid, saying, "Mom, these'll bloom forever. Forever." Another lie. Anger surged, but so did resolve. This garden was mine now. No waiting for them. Miles's sealant worked. No more damp. The house smelled of paint, not despair. Celine claimed the armchair, her eyes tracking me. Isolation stung, but it taught strength. One night, rain pounding like that porch day, I sat with Celine. "They think I'm broken," I whispered, a dark smile creeping in. "But I'm building." Ironic, their betrayal lit my fire. Pain lingered, but so did my fight. Tara called. My lawyer friend, her voice sharp but warm. "Marian, holding up? Heard about the limo drama." "Barely, Tara, but I'm fixing things, walls, faucets, me." She laughed softly. "Good. Keep records of everything. You never know with Beatrix." Her words stuck, a hint of trouble ahead. But for now, it was me and Celine, mending what was broken. Mornings meant coffee on the porch, sun warming the wood where I'd stood betrayed, no limos, no honks, just quiet, hard-earned. I flipped my notebook, planning more. Maybe join a group, find others. Betrayed, yes. Done, never. I was Marian Brooks, and this was my home, my fight, my beginning. The days stretched on, and I found a rhythm in the quiet, like a heartbeat I could trust. Morning started with coffee, the mug warm in my hands, as I sat on the porch where they'd left me. The sun climbed higher now, chasing shadows from the wood. I'd open my notebook, Home Revival Plan, written in bold at the top, and check off tasks like a soldier marking battles won. Painted the living room wall yesterday, cream, smooth as fresh bread. It hid the damp stains, made the house feel like mine again. I wasn't just fixing walls, I was stitching up the holes they'd left in me. 40 years sacrificed, nights at the factory, dreams shoved aside, and for what? To be called shabby? I'd show them. One Saturday I tackled more, grabbed a ladder, hauled out those old faded curtains, replaced them with olive green ones, rich like the garden I'd let go wild. Out back I yanked weeds, hands deep in dirt, my back groaning but my heart steady. Caleb's voice echoed, him as a boy planting roses, laughing, "Mom, these'll bloom forever." Forever, what a lie. The anger flared, hot and sharp, but I kept pulling weeds. This garden wasn't his anymore, it was mine. I stood, wiping sweat from my brow, and saw Celine watching from the porch steps, her green eyes calm. "You get it, don't you?" I said. She flicked her tail, like she approved. I heard about the Moonlight Collective from Mrs. Whitaker, who called over the fence one morning. "Marian, there's a women's group downtown, home repairs, gardening, even dance. You should go." I shrugged at first. Groups weren't my thing, but the house felt big and Celine couldn't talk back. So I went. The community center smelled of coffee and sawdust, women my age laughing, tools in hand. They welcomed me, no pity, just nods. "What's your project?" one asked, her hands stained with paint. "Fixing my house. And maybe me," I said, half joking. They grinned, handed me a hammer. That night we swapped stories, leaky roofs, stubborn kids. I didn't mention Caleb or Sloan, but I felt lighter, like I'd found a tribe. The collective became my anchor. Wednesdays we'd meet, sanding floors, planting herbs, or dancing to old tunes. One evening we swayed to a scratchy jazz record, laughing as we tripped over each other's feet. I hadn't laughed like that in years. Celine waited at home, curled on the armchair, purring when I walked in. "Missed me?" I asked, scratching her ears. The house smelled of paint and possibility, not betrayal. I was building something new, piece by piece. Tara called one afternoon, her lawyer voice crisp over the phone. "Marian, you doing okay? People talk." Beatrix's name came up. I leaned against the kitchen counter, the faucet silent now, my victory. "I'm managing, Tara. Fixing things." She paused, then said, "Good. Document everything. Receipts, repairs, calls. Beatrix, she's slippery. Protect your house." Her words landed heavy, like a warning bell. Beatrix's flashy watch flashed in my mind, her fake smile. "Slippery, huh?" I scribbled a note in my book. "Keep records." Tara was right. You never know. Caleb called out of the blue one evening, his voice shaky. "Mom, we need help. $5,000, it's urgent." I froze. Celine's purr the only sound in the room. 5,000. After 3 months of silence. "No," I said sharp and final. "You chose your path, Caleb." He stammered, sorry. But I hung up, my hands trembling. 40 years sacrifice, and he thought I'd just open my wallet? Not anymore. I turned to Celine, her green eyes steady. "We're done carrying them," I said. She blinked like she agreed. I kept moving forward. Mornings, I painted more walls, the cream spreading like hope. Afternoons, I worked the garden, pruning roses Caleb once loved. Evenings, I'd sit with the collective, learning tricks, how to patch drywall, plant basil. They didn't ask about my pain, just shared their own. One woman, Clara, talked about her son moving across the country. No calls. "You rebuild, Marian," she said, squeezing my hand. "You do it for you." I nodded, her words sinking in. Rebuild. That's what I was doing. Miles stopped by one day, dropping off extra sealant from the store. "Thought you might need this," he said, sleeves rolled, grin easy. I thanked him, surprised by his kindness. "You're making that house yours again," he added, nodding at the fresh paint visible through the window. "Takes guts." Ah, guts. That word again. I smiled, a real one, not the tight-lipped mask I'd worn for months. "Guess I'm finding some," I said. He laughed, waved, and left, his truck rattling down the street. The idea for the community kitchen sparked one night at the collective. We'd been cooking simple stuff, soups, casseroles, for a potluck. The smell of mac and cheese filled the room, warm like home should be. I thought of the neighbors, some struggling, and said, "What if we cooked for them? Weekends, maybe?" The women lit up, nodding. "Moonlight Kitchen," one called it, tying it to our group's name. I saw it then. My purpose, bigger than these walls. Feeding others, giving what I'd always given, but on my terms. Nights grew easier with Celine by my side, her purr a steady hum against the rain. I'd walk the garden under moonlight, the olive-green curtains glowing soft through the window. They thought I was broken, Sloane with her cruel words, Caleb with his silence. But I was rising. The anger still burned, but it fueled me now. I sacrificed 40 years, and they left me. Fine. I'd build a life they couldn't touch. The house was mine, the garden was mine, and soon the community would be too. One evening, I sat with my notebook, sketching plans for the Moonlight Kitchen, tables, pots, recipes, mac and cheese to start. Celine curled in my lap, her warmth grounding me. "We're doing this," I whispered. The collective had taught me I wasn't alone. Not really. Miles's kindness, Tara's warning, Clara's words, they all pushed me forward. I closed the notebook. The house quiet, but alive. Betrayed? Yes. But broken? Never. I was Marian Brooks, and this was my revival. One brushstroke, one weed, one step at a time. Rain pounded the roof one night, loud as that day on the porch, stirring memories I'd tried to bury. I was in the kitchen, stirring soup for the Moonlight Kitchen's first weekend, when headlights flashed through the window. Celine's ears flicked, her green eyes darting to the door. A knock, hesitant, then desperate. I wiped my hands, heart pounding, and opened the door a crack. There they were, Caleb and Sloane, drenched, dragging suitcases like ghosts from my past. "Mom?" Caleb stammered. We need a place to stay." Sloane's eyes darted, her usual smugness gone, replaced by something raw, almost scared. "Please, Marian," she said, voice shaky. We're out of options." Out front, their driver, Tony Rivera, leaned against his car, rain soaking his cap. "$1.20 for the fare," he called, arms crossed. "Cash now." Caleb fumbled in his pockets, pulling out crumpled bills. "Only $115. This is all we got," he mumbled. Tony's jaw tightened. 2 days, or I report it." I stood in the doorway, Celine weaving between my feet, her warmth steadying me. 40 years sacrificed, my sweat, my dreams, and now they came crawling back? "No," I said, sharp as a blade. Caleb's face fell, eyes avoiding mine. "Mom, please, Beatrix." She threw us out. Sloane clutched her suitcase, rain dripping from her hair. "We didn't know Marian. She lied." "Lied? Like they lied when they called my home shabby?" The anger boiled, hot and fierce, but I kept my voice steady. "You made your choice. You don't get to walk back in." I shut the door, heart hammering, and leaned against it, listening to the rain swallow their pleas. Mrs. Whitaker and Mr. Delgado appeared outside, umbrellas up, their voices muffled but firm. "Can't stay here? Church has beds," Mrs. Whitaker said, blunt as ever. "Reverend Cole'll take you for a few nights." I peeked through the curtain, watching them guide Caleb and Sloane to Mr. Delgado's truck, suitcases loaded in the back. They didn't look back. Celine purred, brushing my leg, like she knew I'd done the hard thing. I'd said no. For the first time, I drew a line they couldn't cross. The next day, I threw myself into the moonlight kitchen, set up tables at the community center, pots simmering with mac and cheese, soup steaming, neighbors trickled in, old folks, single moms, kids with shy smiles. I ladled portions, the oven bell ringing like a heartbeat. This was mine, my purpose, my fight. No one mentioned the rainy night, but Mrs. Whitaker gave me a nod, her eyes saying she understood. "You did right, Marian," she whispered, taking a bowl. I nodded back, hands busy, heart steady. Word spread about Beatrix. Local papers ran stories, calling her a fake heiress. Tara had been right. Slippery. She'd racked up debts, left a rented mansion facing repossession, and vanished. I read the headlines at breakfast. Selene curled beside me. "Good riddance," I muttered, flipping the page. She'd bled Caleb and Sloane dry, just like she'd tried to bleed me with her lies. But I wasn't her victim anymore. I was building something she couldn't touch. Caleb took up bicycle deliveries, I heard, grueling work, pedaling through the city. Sloane cleaned offices at night, scrubbing floors, her pride buried under exhaustion. I didn't care, not yet. I was too busy with the kitchen, serving dozens each weekend. One Saturday a kid tugged my sleeve, grinning. "This mac and cheese, best ever?" I smiled, warmth spreading. This was what mattered, feeding others, not chasing apologies. Then came the accident. Caleb sprained his wrist, skidding on wet pavement during a delivery. I heard it from Mr. Delgado, who saw him wincing at the corner store. "Boy's struggling, Marian, but he's trying." Trying. That word stuck, but I pushed it down. Trying didn't erase betrayal. Still, when Sloane showed up at the Moonlight Kitchen that weekend, I froze. She stood in the doorway, soaked from the rain, eyes down. "Can I help?" she asked, voice low. I stared, ladle in hand. "Wash the pots," I said, cold but calm. She nodded, grabbed a sponge, and started scrubbing. She worked silently, pots clanging while I served soup. Then she took a bowl of mac and cheese, sat with the others, and ate. No sneer, no comments, just a slow bite, her shoulders loosening. The room felt still, like it noticed. I didn't say a word, but something shifted, small but real. They were back, but I wasn't opening the gate, not yet. Reverend Cole had taken them in for 3 nights, I learned. He'd sat them down, his voice low, steady. Grace is a door, but it's got hinges. Hinges mean discipline. Caleb and Sloane nodded, heads bowed, and left for a cheap motel after. I didn't ask more, didn't need to. My focus was the kitchen, the collective, the garden blooming under my hands. Celine followed me everywhere, her purr a reminder I was enough. One night I sat with my notebook tallying kitchen supplies. The house glowed soft, cream walls warm, olive curtains swaying. 40 years sacrificed, and they thought I'd crumble. But here I was, cooking, building, standing firm. I said no, and it felt like freedom. Tara's warning echoed. Keep records, stay sharp. Beatrix was gone, but Caleb and Sloane lingered, their shadows testing my resolve. I wasn't ready to forgive, but I was ready to live. Celine curled in my lap, her green eyes steady. The rain outside softened, like the world was catching its breath. I'd drawn a line, and it held. The moonlight kitchen hummed with purpose, the collective with laughter. I was Marian Brooks, betrayed but unbroken, rebuilding one meal, one wall, one day at a time. The moonlight kitchen buzzed on Saturday night, pots clanging, steam rising from the stoves. I moved between tables, ladling soup, the oven bell ringing like a call to order. Sloane stood beside me now, her hands clumsy on the cheese pot, stirring slow. She'd shown up again, no words, just work. The collective women watched, eyes curious but kind. Then Sloane spoke, voice low but clear. I once called this a cheap dish. The room fell silent, spoons pausing midair. I froze, ladle in hand. 40 years sacrificed, and she mocked my cooking? The anger flickered, but I held it. Sloane's hand shook on the ladle. She scooped a spoonful, brought it to her lips, and swallowed. Her face twisted, embarrassment, then something softer, like relief. The group exhaled, chatter resuming soft. I didn't speak, just nodded at the next pot. Actions, not words. That bite was her turning point, I knew it, but I wasn't rushing. I thought I was weak once, letting them walk over me. Now I saw my strength, quiet, steady, unyielding. Caleb showed up the next week, wrist bandaged from his accident, papers in hand. Mom, these are from Tara. I took them, unfolding the documents on the kitchen table. A waiver relinquishing any claim to my house, plus a schedule for repayments, small amounts, monthly, symbolic. We're signing it all, he said, voice steady for once. No excuses. I scanned the pages, Tara's crisp notes in the margins. Legal peace, she'd called it. I accepted, but kept my distance. This doesn't buy back time, I said, short and decisive. Show me with deeds. He nodded, no arguments, and left. I enforced it. Actions over words. Sloane joined shifts regularly now, scrubbing pots till her hands reddened, learning humility in the steam and suds. I'll take the cleanup, she'd say, no fuss. The collective women guided her, showing knife skills, pot rhythms. She listened, head down, pride swallowed. Caleb persisted too, back on his bike despite the sprain, deliveries grinding on. Each month, a small transfer hit my account, on time, no fail. They were repaying, bit by bit, not just money, moral debt, as Tara put it. They started therapy, both. Caleb told me one day, dropping off a check, individual sessions and couples. I nodded, stirring tea. Good. Keep at it. No praise, no rush. He went for self-reflection, facing his weakness, his sway to Beatrix's shine. Sloane tackled her arrogance, the emptiness under her status chase. Together, they rebuilt trust, session by session. I heard snippets from Tara. Progress, slow but real. I didn't pry. My boundaries held firm. Graham Ellis entered the picture at a collective dance night. He was from the group, gentle, 50s, with a light step and easy smile. "Care to dance, Marian?" he asked. Hand out, no pressure. I hesitated, then took it. We swayed to the music, his humor soft, everyday metaphors like gardens thrive on water, not wishes. He didn't push, just companioned me, a witness to my steps. Celine met him once, sniffing his shoes, then purring approval. A healthy connection, light as moonlight. No savior, just a friend. Over months, the dynamic shifted. Caleb and Sloan kept commitments. Therapy notes shared if asked, kitchen shifts filled, repayments steady. I enforced boundaries calm, pragmatic. Next quarter, I'd say, no extras. The family wasn't whole, but it hummed, gradual. Celine observed it all, purring in peaceful moments, withdrawing when tension rose. Her calm mirrored mine. I sat in the garden one evening, roses blooming, and felt it. Justice, without malice. I'd confronted, set terms, and won my peace. Sloan opened up one kitchen shift, stirring soup beside me. "I used to sneer at this," she said, voice direct. "Today? I'm learning." I nodded, handing her a spoon. No big apologies, just deeds. Caleb brought groceries another time, wrist healed, eyes meeting mine. "I'll keep doing right," he said. Short, sincere. I accepted, but kept the gate scheduled. Tara reviewed the papers again, her voice crisp over coffee. "This buys peace, Marian, not forgiveness." I agreed, decisive. The collective thrived, dances lighter with Graham's steps. Celine curled beside me nights, her purr a barometer of calm. The house stood strong, cream walls glowing, Olive Garden blooming. I'd sacrificed 40 years, faced betrayal, said no. Now, triumphant, I held the reins. Strength I never knew. The months built satisfaction, justice in action, boundaries firm. One quiet afternoon, I watched Sloan scrub pots, Caleb drop a payment. They left respectful, no linger. Celine purred, the family's harmony soft, gradual. I closed my notebook, plans checked. Empowered, I breathed deep. The shift was real, but on my terms. No malice, just forward. 1 year later, the timeline unfolded in my mind like a quiet calendar. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, each marking a step in this new rhythm we had built. The backyard teas became our ritual, 60 minutes precisely, under the olive green curtains that swayed gently from the house windows, casting soft shadows on the wooden table. Conversations flowed neutral and light, touching on the weather's whims or the garden's latest blooms, nothing probing or heavy with the past. No sudden apologies tumbled out, no tearful reckonings, just 3 people sitting together, sipping tea, letting the roses in the garden nod their heads in the breeze as if approving the calm. Caleb and Sloan honored their commitments without fail, attending their therapy sessions, individual for personal growth, couples for mending their bond, volunteering at the kitchen with steady hands, and sending those small repayments each month like quiet promises kept. I watched it all from my chair, calm and self-possessed, the gate to my world opening on a schedule, not swayed by fleeting feelings or old wounds. In Q1, the first tea, we spoke of rain patterns, how the spring showers had nourished the soil after a dry winter. Sloan mentioned her cleaning job, now a steady routine that grounded her. Caleb talked briefly of his deliveries, his wrist fully healed and stronger for the strain. I nodded, poured another cup, the steam rising like a veil between us. No delving into regrets, just the simple act of being present. Q2 arrived with warmer days, and we shared garden tips. They even helped weed a small patch, their hands in the dirt for those few minutes, no lingering beyond the hour. By Q3, hints of therapy surfaced lightly, Caleb sharing a single lesson on taking responsibility without excuses, Sloane reflecting on humility in a sentence or two. I listened without offering my own stories, my peace with the past, a private garden I tended alone, blooming in its own time. Q4 wrapped the year under a crisp autumn sky, ending in comfortable silence, the moon climbing silver blue, casting a serene glow over us all. The community kitchen had grown into a thriving heartbeat of the neighborhood, with Sloane now co-leading shifts, her once arrogant hands now skilled at stirring pots and serving plates. She'd call out instructions with a confidence tempered by kindness. A bit more cheese here, to make it just right, and the regulars would smile knowing her story without words. The Moonlight Collective expanded, too, our weekly dances filled with laughter, Graham's gentle presence a steady companion, his light humor weaving through the steps like a warm thread. "Gardens thrive because we water them steadily," he'd say during a slow turn, his words a philosophical nudge that resonated without pressing. Selene roamed freely during those teas, curling up beside the wooden box on the table or brushing against legs, her purr a living symbol of healing cycles and quiet rebirth. Beatrix remained a faded shadow, her exposure in the papers a distant memory, her debts and flight a clear reminder that manipulation carries its own consequences, leaving room for honest growth. My life had blossomed in ways I hadn't imagined a year ago. The home secure with its cream walls and fixed faucets, the cat a constant anchor of calm, supportive friends from the collective offering companionship without demands, and these controlled family ties providing structure without chaos. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped low, I sat at the kitchen table with paper and pen, drafting what I called the boundary letter. I am at peace with the past. The gate opens on a schedule, not on feelings, I wrote, the words flowing thoughtful and firm, a declaration of long-term discipline over impulsive forgiveness. Forgiveness, I reflected in those lines, isn't a sudden wave, but a practiced art, a commitment to serenity through action and time. I folded the letter carefully, sealing it in a simple wooden box, where Selene promptly curled up to sleep beside it, her green eyes half closed in contentment, as if guarding my resolved heart. The Q4 tea unfolded under the moonlight, the three of us seated around the table, quietly admiring the garden's full bloom, the roses vibrant, the herbs fragrant, everything thriving under careful tending. I gave a small smile, dignified and self-possessed, feeling the weight of the year lift like mist in the morning sun. No dramatic words were needed, no grand gestures, just the presence of people who had learned through deeds that respect is earned, not demanded. As I looked at Caleb, now standing taller with quiet persistence, and Sloane, her humility practiced and genuine, a hopeful warmth settled in me. Thoughtful and optimistic about what lay ahead. It's never too late to reclaim your dignity, to weave boundaries that protect your inner peace while allowing conditional light to filter through. True healing, I've come to understand, springs from self-reliance and those enforced boundaries that guide us toward respectful, sustainable relationships where trust rebuilds slowly like a garden after winter. Forgiveness isn't about unchecked emotion or forgetting the pain. It's disciplined action, a schedule for the heart that honors your worth and invites growth on terms that feel safe and true. I share this with you now, as if we're sitting over tea in my backyard, the moonlight soft above us. Betrayal cuts deep, leaving scars that ache in quiet moments. But you can rise from it, rebuild your world with pragmatic hands and a compassionate yet firm spirit. The garden teaches us that. Water it consistently, prune what no longer serves, And it will thrive in ways that surprise you, offering beauty and sustenance to those who approach with care. So do we in our lives, finding peace not as a gift from others, but as a claim we make for ourselves, blooming in the rhythm of our own choosing. And in that peace, hope unfolds, warm and enduring. As the year closed, I walked the garden alone one night, Selene padding beside me, the stars clear overhead. The house stood solid behind us, a testament to revival, and I felt grateful for the journey, from the porch abandonment to this structured serenity. Caleb and Sloane had repaid their moral debt through labor, therapy, and consistency, transforming from antagonists to allies in their own quiet arcs. Graham's companionship added light without possession, the collective a circle of support that reminded me of kinship's true form. Even Reverend Cole's words echoed faintly, his hinge metaphors a reminder that grace requires effort from all sides. Neighbors like Mrs. Whitaker and Mr. Delgado mirrored the community's practical kindness, their interventions a bridge in the storm. Looking back, the core lesson crystallized like dew on leaves. Life's deepest wounds, born from sacrifice and betrayal, don't define us if we choose to tend our own ground. It's in the small acts, the paint on walls, the soup shared, the no said firmly, that we regain control, fostering optimism for what comes next. I confide this to you intimately, as one who has walked the path. Hold your boundaries like treasured roots, let forgiveness be a deliberate bloom, and watch how hope transforms the landscape of your days. Peace isn't the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose, claimed and cultivated, leading to a life rich with meaning and quiet triumph. In the end, we are our own gardeners, and the harvest is always worth the wait. And so my garden blooms, just like my heart, tended with care and time. I've shared my story with you from the pain of that rainy porch to the peace of these moonlight teas, because I know you felt your own betrayals, your own triumphs. Did you like my story? I'd love to hear from you. What city are you from? Drop it in the comments below. Share a piece of your world with me. I'm right there, reading every word, connecting with you. If this story touched you, maybe reminded you of your own strength, consider supporting me with a super thanks. It helps me keep telling stories like this, stories that matter to us, stories that heal. Thank you so much for your amazing support. It means the world. I'm looking forward to your comments, your thoughts, your stories. Let's keep this conversation going. On your screen right now, you'll see 2 new real-life stories I highly recommend. They're raw, honest, just like this one. There are so many more stories waiting for you on my channel. Tales of resilience, family, and finding your way back. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. I'll be here, sharing more, with all my love and respect. See you in the next story.